Hey guys, this is the video from my GoPro camera on Asservation Day. I just wanted to give you a little insight to how these cops think. Mysteriously, it didn't seem that I had ran into any of the good cops. They must have all been off that day. Just listen. Enjoy.
Hey Travis, you got any staples? Right.
Make sure you're not putting anything on the property.
Do what?
It's going to be thrown away. Nothing can be hung on anything on the property. So
It's our property.
it's not your property. So I come to your house and hang stuff on it?
This ain't your
It
house.
doesn's matter. There's rules and there's laws set. If something's
That's fine. That's fine. Can you show me where something that's set down can be taken if the owner's there?
Listen, I'm giving you a lawful order. If anything's put on here, it's going to be removed.
Could you please show me the law?
That's it.
So you don't know the law.
I know the law.
Well,
I
then
just
show
told
it to
you.
me.
I just gave you a lawful order.
No.
So if you
How do I know that if you can't show me the law?
Look up the ORC.
Well, I'm asking you. Can I have your name and badge number? Can't hear you, sir. 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 I can't hear you. Could you please repeat it? Sir, what's your name and badge number? I cannot hear you, sir. Excuse me, sir. Can I please have your name and badge number?
Trooper ID 0287.
Thank you, sir. If we leave this here, will it be confiscated? Can this sit here without being confiscated?
You have to stay with it. You can't leave it unattended.
What's considered staying with it? How many feet away can I walk?
Area with it.
All right, so like right there, we're cool, right? Because we can still see it. Thank you. You have a good day, sir. Here, take this. I'm gonna have a conversation with him. Let's do it. Let's do a conversation.
If he'll talk.
Yeah, I know. It probably won't. But we're still gonna try it though. You gotta try it, right? So I just have a question for you. Did you take an oath to uphold the Constitution for the United States?
Yes, I did.
You did. What is the Constitution? What is it?
I know the Constitution. I don't need to take.
That's not what I'm asking you. What is
I
it?
have to answer your question.
You work for me, so yes, you do.
You're mistaken.
I'm not mistaken at all. No, sir, I'm not. Are you a public servant?
I am.
So then you work for me.
I work for myself then too.
Well, in a sense, but not really, because once you take a government position, you're their government, no longer the people. That's kind of how it works. It's a simple question. What is the Constitution? It's a simple question, sir. I'm not even asking your opinion about it. I'm just asking you what it is. If you took an oath to that, what is it? You took an oath to a document that you don't even know what it is. I'll tell you what it is, sir. The Constitution is the people's restriction on government. It doesn't allow anything to the people, to give anything to the people. It's the people's restriction on government. It's our individual restrictions on government. So it's his restriction on government, it's his restriction on government, it's even mine. And then it's a collective document, we the people. When you have things like, for example, yeah, wasn't talking to him, huh? See, this is why people hate cops now, man. This is why people smile when shit happens to cops. Because they believe they're above the law or above the people they serve. Do you know what the Constitution is?
Very aware with the Constitution.
Very well with it. Do you enforce firearms laws? Do you enforce firearms laws? Like
what's written in the Constitution.
So then you don't enforce any firearms laws because there is none for the people.
There's open carry laws and everything else here in the state of Ohio.
Right, but that's not the Constitution.
It's free to carry your weapon anywhere in the state of Ohio.
Yes, sir. But like what I'm talking about is the mentally ill.
Mentally ill?
Yeah, with the felons. Prohibited persons, do you believe in those laws? Do you enforce those laws?
On a violent felon?
Doesn't matter whether they're violent, non-violent, it doesn't matter.
Depends on what the violation is. That's my opinion.
But here's where I'm going with this, is that our Constitution's been so misconstrued and tossed up and thrown around, and it leads to what we're seeing today. And it's not even going to affect me and you. We're going to be dead. It's going to affect our kids. So if you look back through history and you look at the writings of Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, they tried to create a document that would keep from what's happening today from happening. In order to do that, the people have to enforce that document. So the Constitution is our restriction on government, not as government, but as civilians. And we're supposed to enforce that. Why can't we enforce it? Because we have the police protecting politicians.
I protect every citizen of the state of Ohio.
Well,
Whether
right.
you're a politician or whether you're
But
walking down the street,
and I get it.
give my life for anybody out here to protect
Hey,
them.
and I appreciate that, man. But what I'm saying is this: is like once a politician becomes a politician and then become a tyrannical politician. Once they're a politician, the Constitution no longer protects them because they're now government, right? Does that make sense?
I think any person that lives in the state of Ohio or in the United States is protected by the Constitution.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. No, I agree with that.
Given those rights by the Constitution.
I agree with that 100%. No, you're not given those rights by the Constitution. We're given those rights by our Creator. The Constitution is just the people restricting government, saying you cannot touch these things, right? I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
So when you enforce a law, whether that be a firearms law, driver's license laws, any immoral act, it's oppression, it's tyranny is what it is. And I get it because a lot of people don't understand. So I understand there's a law, this rapist has the gun. He's out of prison now, we can't let him have a gun. I get it. Here's the thing though, if he was that bad, number one, he shouldn't be out. Number two, if he is out, he has the right to protect himself. Number three, we cannot see the future. We don't know what's going to happen. So now we're minority reporting people. We've been doing it for the last 100 years. But what it is conditioning. That's what it is. It started out with all violent felons. In 1934, 68, it went to violent felons. Then since then, it's leading to everybody. Now you'll be exempt because you're a cop, because they always put in there, we'll exempt the police because they don't want you to turn on them. That's why that is. But in the end, it's going to affect your kids. Now, even right now, you're a slave and you don't recognize it.
Oh, we all are. We all work. I mean, you have to work to get your job. So
right. So why? But why do we have to pay taxes? Because there's somebody with a badge enforcing it.
Government needs funding to do what they do.
Government needs funding to grow. Right, but if you look at the founders again, it's supposed to be minimum government, maximum individual liberty. But we fund them. Why do we fund them? What happens if you don't?
You'll be put in jail probably.
Somebody with a badge, right?
Yep.
Somebody that government gave authority over you is going to come with you at force, more than one person, and they're going to force you to do something that you don't want to do. But we're against slavery, right?
Yes.
What's slavery? Theft of labor. But we're okay with being slaves to our government because it says so. And if you don't do what it says, it's going to come after you with force. Our government now rules over us with or else. You will do what we say or else. And police do that too.
No, you're compensated for your work, so...
No. You have to pay to go to work. You can go to work and make your money, but you're going to pay us 30% of what you make. Or whatever that number is, right? But it's enforced by somebody with a badge. I didn't give you authority over me. And I don't want to cause harm to nobody, right? So, for instance, I'm a felon. So it's up in the air if I can own firearms. In Ohio, I can own firearms. Federal government says I can't own firearms, right? So what do? You come across me with a firearm on me.
It's going to come down to how the law is written and what I have to do with my job.
Ohio law says that only felons of violence and drug offenses are under disability.
Well, being a state trooper, I enforce state law, so I would go by what I'm supposed to enforce, which is the Ohio.
No, your Constitution, man. You just said that
the Constitution is the overall guideline,
right?
But I've also got to follow the
no,
state.
You don't.
As well.
You don't. You have free will. What you're doing, and I'm not picking on you because you don't know, and I know you don't know. You are leading to the same thing that King George was doing in the Redcoats. You were the modern Redcoats. The British were the King George's policing forces, executing his rule. And I ain't mad at you, man. I'm not. I just want you to see what you're doing. Tyranny takes immoral men to accept money to commit immoral acts against moral people. And whether somebody raped somebody or whether somebody killed somebody or whatever, doesn't matter. Like, people don't even understand what rights are today. But it doesn't matter. If they're free, they are free to protect themselves. And if they go to commit an act against somebody, it's on that person to be prepared to take care of that. Or on us to take care of that. We don't need policing forces. When you have government policing forces, the end result is totalitarianism. Period. That's the end result. My son was murdered in November. My 20-year-old boy was murdered on November 23rd, 2019. I tell people that the guy that killed him is now in prison. And in prison, he has the right to keep and bear arms. Do you understand that? Do you understand what I just said? That's because you don't understand what rights are. And I'm not picking on you, dude.
People in prison run around with firearms.
That's not what I said.
He doesn't have those rights anymore.
Yes, he does.
He committed an act, and he's now in prison.
No, I'm going to explain. You can't lose rights. If you can lose rights, they'd be privileges. I'm going to explain it to you, and I can use our founding documents to prove what I'm about to say, and I'm going to explain it to you.
But there comes a point you have to have common sense.
No.
You can't just let
Okay, common sense.
Violent offender.
Let's take your gun away. I know what you're going to do in the future. Let's take your right to
What
kick
am I
cars
going to do
away.
in the future?
Well, in my mind, you're going to kill people. You're a cop. We know you're going to kill people. Okay, so
You can have that opinion.
Right.
I've got my opinion.
right, but
I
you
know
did.
what I'm
Hold
going
on.
to do.
Hold on. And so does that violent offender. But you're not
already
listening.
proven what he's going to do.
Okay, but once he gets out of jail, he's paid his time to the family, not to society, to the family, right? In jail, he's still. You can't lose rights. You can never lose a right. It can't be given away. It can't be taken. Even if you're in prison, you don't lose your right. Through the 5th Amendment, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now, that's how the government skates with prosecuting people. They don't have the authority to do that. That's another conversation. So no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Notice the word rights isn't included in that. The reason for that is because when my son's killer went to jail, what was restricted is his liberty to utilize his property. That's what's restricted, not the right. But when we beat it in people's heads that rights can be taken, like his, what happens is you start having things like my Second Amendment rights. When the Second Amendment doesn't grant you rights, it's a restriction on government. But when our kids grow up, my kids and your kids grow up, and they repeal the Second Amendment, now their Second Amendment rights don't exist because the Second Amendment doesn't exist because nobody taught them what rights were. Dude, this country's in like far further into what people believe. You know, you see the socialists now, right? We're out of socialism. We're going into communism. You know who's going to enforce it? People with badges on. Government's law enforcement. The Gestapo, law enforcement. Mao's law enforcement. Stalin's law enforcement. We go all the way back to the beginning of governments. Law enforcement. And I get it. Like I get the thought process. This murderer shouldn't have a gun, right? Like he's free. He already proved what he's going to do. He's going to kill somebody. The problem with that is it leads to what you're seeing today. All this shit's happened before. Happened in Roman times, happened under Stalin, Mao, happened under Hitler. The police are the problem. The police is the problem. I'm not saying you're the problem because you don't know it. And it's not your fault you don't know it, but it's our fault. It's our parents' fault and our grandparents' fault for sitting back and doing nothing. Letting government take over public school systems. Do they teach you about the Constitution in public schools? No. Why would they? Because the people have a duty to enforce the Constitution on government. But we can't enforce it now because government created laws making it illegal for us to enforce it. And you enforce those laws. It wouldn't matter what they did. Biden can ban all guns right now. They're banned. People with badges are going to enforce that. You may not, but they're going to, and then what are you going to do? But if you enforce the little shit now and justify it in your mind that you enforce it, that's what leads to that. Like, understand, I'm not mad at you, man. Now, I know, like, you just think I'm some fucking protester or some shit. I genuinely care about this because I see where it's going. Because I've literally spent thousands of hours in the hole and shit reading history books. I mean, like, for example, I'll prove something to you. I'll prove that. You know what the 13th Amendment is to the Constitution? I know you don't know it offhand, but you should, because if you take an oath of something, how can you take an oath of something if you don't know what it is? If you don't know verbatim, right? Makes sense? So we're going to look up New Hampshire House Bill 638 from 2013. I'm going to read it to you, and you see if it clicks in your head. So I just pulled it up on Bill Text, New Hampshire. You can see, I don't know if you can see it or not. Can you see it? You can see it's the government website. Bill title: Recognizing the original 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Did you know that there was an original 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution? And there's not an amendment repealing the 13th Amendment, right? So where did it go? Somebody's lying. Why are they lying? Because the 13th Amendment was about nobility. It was the people. The amendment process was to restrict government further and expand the liberty of the people, right? So it could be freer. If we've seen something government need to be restricted on, then we can amend the Constitution to restrict government further, since the Constitution is 100% restriction on government. If you don't care, I'll walk away.
Yeah, I'm not going to have an opinion on anything, so when I'm in your
All right. Well, you're the problem, sir, but I'm just letting you know, you're an immoral man, and when your kids are slaves, it's your fault.
You can have your opinion, sir.
It's not an opinion, it's a fact.
No,
It's a fact. 100% it's a fact. The Redcoats were the British policing forces. The men we praise for founding this country shot them in the face. Think about that for a second. The British police forces that justified what they did because it was law the men that founded this country that you praise, you have, and I know you have. So have I. Shot them in the face. If they lived today, they would be called police. The word police didn't exist until the turn of the century. That's why they wasn't called police. They were a standing army. Article 1, Section 8 forbids standing armies in this country except in certain times, which isn't all times. You're enforcing the laws that's going to make your kids slaves, and that's a fact, dude. That's a fact. If you go to bed at night, more power to you, but just know, it might not be in our lifetime, but there's a special place in hell for all you all. I mean, that's a fact. You commit immoral acts against more people because it's law. I didn't give those people authority over me, and I don't want to harm nobody else. So how do you have authority over me then? But if you jump out of your car and I fit the description, you'll point a gun at me and put me down a mud puddle, or else. Think about that when you get to bed tonight. He don't even know what his job is. Police are redcoats. Sir, how do you commit immoral acts against moral people for payment?
Take special time.
What's your name and badge number? At least you're honest. Shit. What's your name and badge number, sir? Name and badge number. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Like, they don't get it, man. Even when you explain to them, they go, I asked a dude up there, I was like, dude, if you don't just care, tell me to go away. He's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Pretty much. That's not what he said, but you know what I mean? Like, they don't get it, they don't care. Did you take an oath to the Constitution, both of you? Did you take an oath to the Constitution of the United States? Oh, it's not. What's your badge number, Officer Tharp?
Thorpe?
Tharps with the S?
See an S on there?
No, I didn't, but I said Tharp and you said Tharps.
No.
That's a simple question. You didn't. So you didn't.
I'm here to answer questions.
But you work for me.
I don't work for you.
Sir, you do. You're a public servant, and I'm the
I
public.
don't.
Yep, you're a public servant,
Well,
correct?
I disagree with you. And
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
fine.
That's fine. So you can't answer.
yeah,
just,
how's your day?
Oh, my day's great, dude. I have a great day every day. Every day. It's a simple question. Do you know?
It is a simple question.
You didn't take an oath
You
to the
didn't take my
Constitution?
simple answer,
Well, no, but I asked you again because you work for me.
and I gave you an answer, right?
So you said I don't work
So
for
are you
you.
going to fire me since I work for you?
Oh, well, no, but there's like things I can
Well, if
do. I
work
can make
for
a
you, you can
hassle.
Hire me or fire me, right?
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
you should fire me since I work for you.
well, see, the reason I can't fire you is because this.
Well, then I don't work for you.
Well, see, you won't be quiet long enough to let me
Well,
explain.
I don't work for you if you can't.
Well, you
fire me.
do because
You sign my paycheck?
our tyrannical governments have hired you. See, what you are is you're the modern day
See,
redcoats.
that's your opinion.
No, it's a fact. I can show it to you.
Well,
It's a
that's
fact.
your fact.
It's a fact. No, it's not my facts. It's verifiable facts.
Is there anything else you need?
Yeah, that's. What's your badge number?
Can
told-
read?
Yeah, I can read fine, but I'm asking you.
Why are you asking me my badge number if it's right in front of you?
Because you have to answer me if I ask you regardless if it's right in front of me or not.
Fire me.
692. Thanks,
There
Art.
you
Did you
go.
take an oath to the Constitution, ma'am?
I'm not going to answer that question.
So you don't care. You're a redcoat, right? You're an enemy of the people. I mean, just say it. Say what you mean. You're not going to. It's a simple question. You just, yes or no. I took an oath to the Constitution or I didn't. I mean, last time I checked, I mean, I just talked to 1, 2, 3 state boys today, and they all took an oath. They all also, I understood that they worked for the public. Y'all are for real
You just
enemy.
got tired of talking to me.
Huh? No, I'm getting back to you in a second. I'm just letting you think about it. You got time to stand out here making $30 an hour looking at people, but you can't talk, huh? Oh yeah, it is. What's your job then? What's your job?
I work for you. You should know that, right?
Well, no, I'm asking you. I want to make sure that you know what your job
I don't
is.
have to tell you what my job is.
Well, why
I work
not?
for you. You should know this, right?
Well, I
If you
do.
employ me.
I
you
already
should
know.
what my job is, right?
I already know. I'm the
you
media
employ
then.
me. I work for you.
Yes.
You know what my job is.
Yeah,
then.
well, you
so
know-
why are you asking me what my job is?
Because I want to know.
So you're not a very good employer.
No, I want to know if you know.
Well, you should tell me.
No, I want to know if you know.
You're my employer. You should tell me.
No, I want to know if you know.
Well, why don't you tell me?
I'm asking you. What
Well,
is
I'm
your
not
job?
telling you anything.
It's because you don't know what your job is.
Well, why don't you tell me what it is?
I want you to tell me. We got a funny one.
Oh.
We like
What do
funny
you
ones.
mean
Just go
funny?
ahead and tell
Funny.
me. Amuse him.
That's what we're trying to do.
Well, then go ahead.
You don't even know what your job is.
Why don't you tell me what it is then?
You know what the Constitution of the United States is.
I have no idea.
Don't surprise me at all. It's nice to know, Officer Tharp. Thank you. Have a good day. No, that's all I need to
I
know.
thought you want to tell
You
me.
just answered everything I need to know, man.
I thought you want to tell me.
You just answered what I need to know. That's cool. I'll be getting back with you. You'll hear from me. I promise you.
All right, Bob.
He's a piece of shit.